In Windows NT operating systems, a Windows service is a computer program that operates in the background. It is similar in concept to a Unix daemon. A Windows service must conform to the interface rules and protocols of the Service Control Manager, the component responsible for managing Windows services. Windows services can be configured to start when the operating system is started and run in the background as long as Windows is running. Alternatively, they can be started manually or by an event. Windows NT operating systems include numerous services which run in context of three user accounts: system, network service and local service. These Windows components are often associated with host process for Windows services. Because Windows services operate in the context of their own dedicated user accounts, they can operate when a user is not logged on. Prior to Windows Vista, services installed as an interactive service could interact with Windows Desktop and show a graphical user interface. In Windows Vista, however, interactive services are deprecated and may not operate properly, as a result of Windows service hardening. Administration: Windows administrators can manage services via the Services Snap-in, SCX, Windows PowerShell, Services Snap-in. The Services Snap-in, built upon Microsoft Management Console, can connect to the local computer or a remote computer on the network, enabling users to view a list of installed services along with service name, descriptions and configuration, start, stop, pause or restart services, specify service parameters when applicable, change the startup type. Acceptable startup types include automatic: the service starts at system logon. Automatic: the service starts a short while after the system has finished starting up. This option was introduced in Windows Vista in an attempt to reduce the boot to desktop time. However, not all services support delayed start. Manual: the service starts only when explicitly summoned. Disabled: the service is disabled. It will not run. Change the user account context in which the service operates. Configure recovery actions that should be taken if a service fails, inspect service dependencies, discovering which services or device drivers depend on a given service or upon which services or device drivers a given service depends, export the list of services as a text file or as a CSV file, SCX. The command line peer of the Services Snap-in is SCX, the service control utility. This utility is included with Windows XP and later. SCX's scope of management is restricted to the local computer. However, starting with Windows Server 2003, not only can SCX do all that the Services Snap-in does, but it can also install and uninstall services. Windows PowerShell: Windows PowerShell can intrinsically manage Windows services via the following commands: get service, new service, restart service, resume service, set service, start service, stop service, suspend service. Other management tools: in addition to the trio of Snap-in, SCX and PowerShell, Windows also includes components that can do a subset of what the trio can do. NetX can start, stop, pause or resume a Windows service. In Windows Vista and later, Windows Task Manager can show a list of installed services and start or stop them. msconfig can enable or disable Windows services. Development: a Windows service is created using development tools such as Microsoft Visual Studio or Embarcadero Delphi. In order to be a Windows service, a program needs to be written in such a way that it can handle start, stop, and pause messages from the Service Control Manager. Service Control Manager is a component of Windows which is responsible for starting and stopping services. The Windows Resource Kit for Windows NT 3.51, Windows NT 4.0 and Windows 2000 provides tools to control the use and registration of services. SAVANYX acts as a service wrapper to handle the interface expected of a service and allow any executable or script to be configured as a service. SCX allows new services to be installed, started, stopped and uninstalled. See also, Windows Services, List of Microsoft Windows components. Irradian per second Euro services, Windows Service Hardening, SVCOSTIX, Concept, Background Process, Daemon, DOS Protected Mode Services, Terminate and Stay Resident Program, Device Driver. Operating System Service Management, Fire Daemon, Service Control Manager, Service Management Facility. Service Wrapper, References. Further reading, Saville, John. What are the error control, start and type values under the services suitcase? Windows IT Pro. Penton Media. Retrieved March 29, 2013. David B. Probert, Windows Service Processes.